If you watch some of my videos, you know that I do provide definitions a lot. In most of the videos, there is at least one definition for some concept in it. Sometimes these definitions are more objective, it is what vocabulary tells us, and sometimes these definitions are something that, in my opinion, is the case. So it is my own personal definition. But why do I do it? Why do I provide definitions so often? That's what I want to talk to you about today. Because in my personal opinion, a hell lot of discussions could become easier, could become quicker if we would provide definitions at the beginning of them and not in the middle or in the end. More about it in today's video. But obviously before we begin, I have to tell you that this is Yury Experience, and here I share my various experiences about different topics. Currently I do one video per week, I upload it on Monday, and if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like, you can also subscribe to the channel, you can also leave a comment. Let's go! And we start with a definition of the word definition. The vocabulary definition, it can be seen on the screen, and with my own words, definition is a description of some concept or of something as precise as it gets. As you probably know, even vocabularies in a lot of occasions provide more than one definition for a word, and there are sometimes different reasons for it. Sometimes a word can be used in different contexts and the word will mean different things. Entirely different things. And a lot of these words have various definitions because history, because at some point something happened, that is why we use this word for this case and also for this case, although these two cases don't really overlap with each other. And sometimes we have various definitions of word, of concept, of whatnot that do overlap with each other to some degree, and normally it also depends on the context of usage of the word. For example, if we are using that word in scientific research, that has one meaning, and if we are using that in everyday life, the meaning is different. The main point of this video is that definitions are crucial, are extremely important for effective communication. Because vocabulary definitions are only one side of the medal. It is only like one part of the story. And even vocabulary definitions can be different for different people. I call these definitions more like objective definitions, and a lot of them are similar to same for a lot of people. You know what an apple means, and I know what an apple means. But for example, if you will ask a person from more tropical countries what their understanding or comprehension of banana is, it will probably be different to the comprehension or understanding of people in Europe. If you haven't known it, there are a hell lot of varieties of bananas, but mostly are exported and imported like only one type of it. And people not from tropical countries, not from the countries where various types of bananas are growing, they don't know these various types, or maybe one or two of them, but not a hell like amount of that. Which is why what people understand under banana can be different. And I know it's like it still overlaps. It's not like a person will see a banana and say it is a cucumber. The overlapping is there, but there are also these regions outside of the overlap which are different, although the definition of banana is pretty clear and straightforward. But then we come from objective definitions to subjective definitions. It is when the main concept is kinda clear, but the personal definition is different for each person individually. It happens a lot, especially in more complex situations, in more complex contexts, in more complex concepts, because these concepts or contexts or whatnot cannot be described in a vocabulary like for one case. So there's only one case how we do it. That is a definition of it. And depending on your upbringing, depending on the culture you are from, maybe on your knowledge of the language and feeling for the language, feeling of how to use the language, depending on all of these factors, your personal definition of some concepts will be different to other people, maybe even from same culture. But sometimes something happens inside of the family, for example, in some specific way, and it is not spread to others. So your definition is how it is in that family, but other people will understand something completely different when you are talking with them about this concept. I will provide you two examples. One of them is not from my life, I heard about it on TikTok, and another one is actually from my personal relationship with my girlfriend. So not my examples, example number one is washing dishes. If there is a task in a household to wash dishes, what will you do? Will you just wash the dishes, like literally wash them, the dishes that are lying in the sink, and lay them outside of the sink and will be done? Or will you also dry the dishes with a towel? Like, is it also a part of washing the dishes? Will you take the dishes or whatever, like cooking utensils, from the stove and also clean them? Because they are not dishes per definition, but they also shall be cleaned. Is filling a dishwasher also washing the dishes? Is it a part of it? Or is it something completely separate? Like, what is your understanding of washing the dishes? When you are thinking, I need to do this task, what shall be done? What are the steps? And based on this example that I heard from TikTok, I'm not sure which video exactly, definition of washing the dishes is so different sometimes between people that people have angry discussions about washing the dishes and what the beginning of the process, what the process shall be, and what the outcome shall be. Because if for one person washing the dishes is just emptying the sink and putting the wet dishes outside of the sink, and for another person it is also washing everything from the stove, also cleaning maybe the stove, and also drying all the dishes and stuff from the stove, like these two definitions are completely different. Do they overlap? Yes. They obviously do overlap, but if both of the people don't communicate this difference in definition, one of them will always be disappointed, probably the person that has more steps in the process, because the work of the other person will never be enough. And it will be wrong actually to tell this person who does less that that person is lazy, or that person has like some wrong definition. That person just have another definition that comes from that person's past. It can have various reasons why that definition is simpler, but it is just different. And if these two people don't communicate the difference in the definitions, they will have discussions. Why didn't you wash the dishes? I did it. Because for one person, the outcome was enough for completion. For another person, the outcome was not nearly enough to claim this task to be completed. The second example from my personal life, quality time. It is something that like a lot of people are talking about, and it is something that is good for relationship, something that you shall do with your partner. However, definition of quality time is different for different people. Even definition of time together, like how do we define that we spend time together, is different for different people. For me, even sitting in the same room is time together. It is maybe not quality time, but it is time together. And doing some hobbies in the same room, so basically, for example, I play computer games and my girlfriend is reading a book, it is a quality time for me, because I have some free time that I spend with my girlfriend, not directly interacting with her, but we interact like not directly, so we communicate during that process. But for my girlfriend, it is important to not only take time to communicate with each other, to spend time with each other, but it is also preferably to not do it at home. So we don't only like spend time with each other in our house or in our home, apartment, however you can call it, but we take time to go outside to like turn off our household in our heads and spend this time together. And we had to communicate that to each other. It was a conversation, almost discussion, about what quality time is for us, because my girlfriend wasn't completely satisfied with how much time we spent, how much quality time we have with each other. Whereas I didn't have a problem. I had enough of my girlfriend, but for my girlfriend it wasn't enough. So we communicated our differences in definitions, and based on that we made a plan how we interact with each other better, so both of us are satisfied with our relationship and both of us have our needs satisfied. In this case, need for quality time. What could also happen, my girlfriend would just say, Yuri, I'm not happy with our relationship, so I don't want to have a relationship with you anymore. that would not communicate the problem. The problem is not like dissatisfaction with the relationship like overall. The relationship is good, but one specific definition, it's like one of many, but at least this one definition was different, which we could discuss, but we decided not to, and that led to disaster in our relationship. It didn't happen for us, but I know that that happens for a lot of people, for a lot of relationships, where people don't communicate their differences in definitions, in opinions, what declares something to be like that and what is not that. And that leads to disaster. That leads to the fact that people break up because they don't communicate on the same level, with the same fundament. In the end, I want to tell you, if it is possible for you to define definition prior to every conversation you have with every person in your life, do it. I know this suggestion is a little bit over the top. Also, if you talk to same people enough times, they know your definitions. But it is extremely helpful to at least have this idea in your mind. Like, is the definitions that I think about the same definition as that person thinks about? Are our definitions same about this specific problem? Because maybe you are trying to build a house from the roof, although you don't even have a fundament. Definitions are fundament of the building, are fundament of the house. You start with definitions and then you build out of them, because maybe the house is already there. Maybe you have already the understanding. Maybe your opinions and thoughts overlap, maybe even completely. But since you look at the same house from different points of views, you think that you have completely different understanding about the house. But actually you don't. You have different fundament, but then you clear this miscommunication and afterwards you completely agree with each other. Give it a shot. That's my suggestion. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it is the case, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a comment, for example, about your communication problems or successes in your life. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah. Have a good week. See you on Monday.